Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Alisha Braché, and I am here with my co-hosts. We've got someone in the waiting room, so we'll just a second. I'll let her in. Sorry, my name's Alisha Braché. I'm here with Anna, my co-hosts. I've got Katie Jean and I've got Nat. This is Ascension 101 Real Talk, and today's topic is sacred relationships and new earth partnerships. Thank you. So probably one of my favorite topics. So this will be an hour segment, interactive. So hopefully we will get, I'm just going to let anyone into the waiting who wants to join in this conversation. And looking forward to answering questions and having a bit of chat about, I guess it's a very popular topic, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It is, and it's an ever-evolving topic that has, gone through many names and labels and, oh goodness, states of consciousness. I mean, I've been writing articles about this for about 4 years. I've been in this journey, I would say, all my lifetime.
All your life?
All my life. And I don't know, there's a lot of collective change that happened as of last year. I mean, the C word really changed everything for so many different dynamics for people in different ways. But I definitely saw a collective shift in partnership. So I'm really excited to dive into it and open up for Q&A. So where should we begin? Who wants to jump in?
It's hard work.
What's hard work, Kate?
I guess this the general vibe of me in my life at the moment, living in a sacred relationship and navigating the realm of, I think I speak to you guys a lot, of being able to hold space for yourself, being understanding of, I guess, first identifying what a sacred relationship means and what the boundaries and parameters are of that experience in direct relationship to the bombarding of the juxtaposition of social media, movies, what a healthy dynamic is. I think on the internet and media, we're told so much of what a relationship should look like. And then you go and have these ascension experiences and sacred relationships experiences, and they don't add up. And it takes a lot of, it doesn't add up. And it takes, I think, a lot of strength on both parts and honesty with yourself and healing to be able to maintain yourself, others, a relationship, your work, and remain in contact, even remaining in physical contact, remaining in emotional contact. I know for myself, my relationship with Will, my sacred partner, has been just crazy in 5 years. So I can't imagine what other people out there must be experiencing if I've experienced just a snippet of what that entails. So yeah, a lot of work.
I'm so grateful for your perspective, Katie, and the hard work and the challenges that are involved. But I think one of the things that you said so beautifully was that, when you look around in society and you're trying to compare your connection and relationship and what you're going through to the social norms, it doesn't fit any mold. And I think that's the whole point and purpose of divine partnerships, sacred connections, twin soul. I mean, interchangeably, so many words. But ultimately what we're referring to here, if we look at it from the much bigger, broader perspective, is we're looking at soul connections who have chosen to come together to break the template of toxic, codependent, narcissistic, different types of relationship dynamics that don't work anymore in the 3D paradigm, and where through our connections, through each one's personal experience, as we break down those templates and those paradigms, is we're creating a new template that's based on equilibrium, trust, respect, a balance, alignment within masculine and feminine within the individuals, and then thus in the partnership. It's a lot of work. It's certainly not boy meets girl and we just we're so in love and married and happily ever after. It's not, this is not what we're talking about here. This is a path that is chosen for personal evolution and ascension first and foremost. So
I think, I don't know about you guys, I think maybe a lot of people would resonate. The hardest aspect is, I find, being real and honest and identifying what kind of relationship you are in. I remember when I first started awakening, and those, back to those like top 10 articles on the internet, like how you should feel with your twin flame. Like, I think that label and those articles are really damaging to my process, because some of the information is like, you will feel amazing with this person all of the time, and like they light your soul on fire, where it's actually like, no, you're gonna feel fucking terrible. Like, I think there's so many things in identifying what is real when you first start. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't read articles anymore about it. I did last year.
When we first start awakening, when you first start looking into it.
Yeah, I had absolutely no concept of what a divine counterpart was until I met mine, and I was like, wow, what is this? And I stumbled across it, and I was like, okay, I think this is it, because I couldn't work out what these feelings like was so intense. But it has not been a glamorous journey at all. It is, you have to go in the trenches and really do your own work, and that can be really hard, really, really hard work.
Thanks for sharing that, Nat. I appreciate your input. And I think that such a commonality that I see is that, when people come into contact with these connections, there is, especially if it's your first soul connection, and I'll get to what I mean by that in a second.
Alisha's hair is up in a bun today. That usually means something.
It means business.
Teacher mode.
No, this is the case, because we're doing real talk and we're doing 101. This is the comfort in me coming out. And you know what? I have been live streaming and doing content and videos and working around the clock. And just, personal disclosure right now, I have a sick dog. I've been at the vet since early this morning on top of everything else. So that's why my hair's in it. No, it's not really.
No. You know when you clean the house and you put your hair up in a bun? Because it means you've got serious stuff to do.
Yes. And this is,
I feel like all I do is clean the house.
Where was I? You just completely threw me off where I was at.
I think you're going on to the part where you are going to explain in the procession of this the different types of I think one of your best articles are the different types of the things. So you're mentioning like the soul connection and what that looks like.
Yeah, thank you. What I'll say before going into that is that when I say when you first encounter your first intense soul connection, it is something that you don't have context around, you don't have parameters around, you don't understand it, therefore you want to understand it and you go looking for information. So where do you go? Because Google is the best source of information to understand your own process, Sorry, that was a bit tongue-in-cheek, but that's what we do, and that you see that over and over again. And I did it, I think you did it, I think you did it now. I think every person that I know, when you go out there and you try and find information, or you try and find other people, or you try to find explanations as to why am I merging energies, why am I picking up on the telepathic connection. Why is this person in my dream state repeatedly for months or years on end when we're not even in a connection and I'm in a different relationship? You know, these are the things that we're talking about, right? Why am I'll be really blatantly on it. Why am I spontaneously having orgasm while I'm sitting in the car on the phone, with not even thinking about anything, you know, only to find out later that there was something tangible that was happening with that other person with intention, you know. And I'm speaking on behalf of many voices, and these are sort of the hard, raw conversations that aren't really had. So I'll get back to what I mean in terms of first strong soul connection. So I'm not going to go into it in extensive detail, because you can go to my YouTube, New Earth Children YouTube channel, and newearthchildren.org, where you can go and read the article. But that article was written from a lot of life experience in this life, and a lot of work. I've worked in divine partnership for a long time, and I've seen and supported many, many people on this journey and path through the most unfathomable stories of heartache and impossibility and overcoming obstacles, and then overcoming challenges, and then more heartbreak. But ultimately, what I see within these people is I see common threads in their stories. I see almost groupings of different soul connections, and that's kind of where it sparked. And it also came through in changes that I experienced in my own personal life and journey. And it was really a part of me trying to make sense of it all and try and compartmentalize it for my mind, because the human has to make sense of it and do those things. But when I go back to it, I realized that this information was trying to come through me since like about 2017, and it was drip feeding through. Anyway, that's the backstory. But what it really talks about is depending on your soul's journey and the different types of strong soul connections that you can have that are intimate and non-intimate. So we're talking about the concept of soulmates that we have many of, and like everyone here on the call is my soulmate. You know, a lot of people who follow Cosmic Gateway, I would consider soulmates. We come from the same soul family, from the same monad. And, you know, depending on which school of thought, that's 144,000 in a soul group. You know, that's a lot of people. So when you break it down, you've got 12, the mechanics of the 12, groups of 12, and then multiply. And so I've always looked at it in the sense that in that 12, 6 female, 6 male, and they're the highest shared frequencies that are most similarly matched. So when you look at it like that, your mind's about to get exploded.
Go for it.
At it like that, that means that potentially in this lifetime, you're going to come across 5 other females that are very similar frequency to you. They may not look the same, but there'll be that intense connection that you have of just being a shared energy. I've kind of lost my words, but someone who thinks the same way, has the same ideals, has very similar life experiences, but ultimately works in the same way. And that's our soul sisters. And you know, when you have certain strengths in soul connections that you have with your soul sisters, and then on the other side of that, you're going to have a counterpart who is probably someone that you have already agreed to come into this life and be and work in this ascension dance, or cosmic dance as I like to call it. But there's also going to be 5 other males that have a very, very similar frequency to that counterpart. And when I explain it to people like this, you have these oh my goodness moments, right? Because I've always understood, and this information found me back in 2015. You know, when something really, really divine just drops on your door and you go, oh my God. That was when I was coming out of a long-term relationship and trying to work out a dynamic of a different one. And that when that dropped in there, I was like, oh my goodness. Because I look back in my journey and I'd had all these, and people a lot of people say, oh, that, you know, you have multiple twin flames in the twin flame community. Oh, you got this and that. I think what is actually happening is we're aligning our frequency, and it's what I call spiral relationships, because we're aligning our frequency to someone who will share the most common frequency signature that we have. And to be able to get to that point takes a lot of hard work in refining our energy, clearing our baggage, shedding our karma, dropping our egoic states. Because if we're directly going to come into contact with it, we would probably self-combust each person. It's a lot of energy and frequency. So what we're doing is we're having test runs as we go up the spiral of the ascension pathway, and we're coming into contact with other partners who have a very shared similar frequency to that person. And each time we're learning, we're assimilating, we're going through some healing processes. And when that contract is done, there's an agreement there, and we turn and we continue up the spiral until it is divinely orchestrated that the two at the top of the spiral will be able to match the frequency and come into resonance and harmony. And not even that's gonna, you know, there's no guarantees that that's going to be, you know, a perfect paradise.
Harmonious. Yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is each person's journey is so individual, and that's why it's so important to work on your own ascension path. That's why it's so important to refine your own inner knowing and strengthen that, and your own remembrance. It's important to work with practitioners who have a high level of discernment, who are pure channels to help guide you the best in being able to help you understand you better and give you the tools to do that. Because I don't think there's any clear-cut way to determine, oh, that is, yes, that's your twin, that's your karmic, that's your high initiator. All these names and labels that get thrown around, I always turn back and say to the person, ultimately, what do you believe? Because you know on a soul level, but we're trying to, let's say, conquer the human. Sorry, guys. Weird phrase coming out of my mouth. But ultimately, what we're trying to do is we're trying to remember our soul agreement of what we already signed up to before we came into this planet. And when we can understand that best, then the most important things in my perspective about, you know, soul partnerships, soul connections is what's the origins. So when we understand the origins of where they come from, so, you know, I talk about earth counterparts, I talk about galactic counterparts. So that really is based upon the origin of where these souls originate from and their journey together. So they may, you know, come from the origins of Arcturus, say, for example, or they may come from Lyra, you know, they might come from different star systems, Sirius, Pleiades, come directly from source energy. You know, there's all these different origins of where the soul has come forth from, and experienced and traveled. Through those experiences and traveling, you learn, well, one, you can accumulate karma and lessons and traumas. You learn things, you master different gifts and abilities and skills. And then we come into this dense reality called Earth at this time of planetary ascension, because we're like, I'll volunteer. and that we say to that soul, you know, I'm gonna meet you on Earth, and we're gonna do something amazing together, but we're gonna forget who we are. We're gonna forget part of who we are on a soul level, so that we can go into the dense human experience. And sometimes, in some cases, really hurt each other through the process of refining, coming back home to the soul essence in that journey. And it's not an easy one, and there's a lot of heartbreak that happens. But the heartbreak ultimately is to break the heart open, to be able to come back into that remembrance of who we truly are, who they are, and to go through the ultimate tests of forgiveness and love, and ultimately coming back into that resonance of unconditional love. And through that process, we're going to remember who we are, who each other is to us. We're going to love each other, we're going to hate each other, but we're going to ultimately grow, And then through that process of breaking our hearts open and coming back into our highest alignment, through that journey and what we learn and remember along the way, we're actually going to do something really magnificent with on the planet. And we're going to influence people, and we're going to inspire people. We're going to help heal people, or the planet, or the ocean, or the animals, or the whales and the dolphins. You know, that's where it comes so individual. So, you know, you've got that galactic counterpart aspect. There's a lot more to it. But then you've got the earth counterpart, which is someone that you have incarnated in on earth with multiple times over and over again. Same things apply. So going back to what, you know, origins are really important to understand, because then you can understand why the triggers come up. And I think Katie will probably have a lot to share about this, and I'm going to wrap it up because I want to hear from you ladies. But, you know, if you can understand the soul's journey together, then you can start to access points of where you can start the healing process. And through that, it adds consciousness to it. So understanding the origins and understanding the purpose, because through both of those, then you know how to proceed forward. You know, is this going to be a long-term thing? Is this, sometimes you can't even tell. You don't, you know, it's one thing that sort of unravels, and we're only given, you know, what feels like breadcrumbs in each moment, and that's purposeful, and that's for a reason, because there's certain things that we have to go through and learn, and other people that we have to come in contact with. And if we knew that the end game, because some of us are so mission focused and so set on love, that we go straight to the end game without going to all these other zigzag paths that are necessary, that we can't get to end game unless we go along that zigzaggy path. So
Totally.
I'm going to open it up to you ladies, because I feel like I've taken a lot of time, but I just want to set that stage. And obviously I could talk about this topic honestly for days and days.
Well, actually, can you clarify something for me? You know, with the five other souls, you know, in the masculines, could they be an earth counterpart, or are they only cosmic counterpart?
Oh, hardball. That's interesting. I haven't thought about it like that. I think endless possibilities. I mean, I have to feel into that, but I don't think it's limited to only being I think they're all going to have the same origins.
Yeah.
So let's say the origins is from source.
Excuse me, guys, I'm just getting on this.
Yeah. Let's say that monad comes from source.
Yeah.
Like pure source. But then each, as it fractals down, because it's all fractals. It's like one energy that splits off. And, you know, people talk about the splitting of the soul, but ultimately we're splitting from many, you know, but there's the particular split that comes through that then filters down. So I think that the origins will always be the same, but the journey that the soul path chooses through incarnations, cosmically and earthwise, could vary.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Very
you.
general. Ladies.
I actually really want to hear Jane's story.
Triggers.
What story? Which one? I don't know. I feel like I really resonate with what you said, Alisha, that I always feel like I look back at I've had 3 quite big, intense relationships and loves, and I really resonate with the fact that the first human that I begun dating had served such an emotional purpose to be cracked open to experience love. I think when I was young, I was really hardened, and I think I was quite a harsh person because I was really vulnerable to experiencing those really deep emotions of love in the absence of not having that loving presence. So I think I hardened in that. And then I think going through the motions of that relationship definitely opened me up to experiencing a higher consciousness of love. And then I think, is there a dog there being naughty?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the comments. And Jen's in the house. So just
Sup, Jen?
you,
Hey, Jen.
you can't resist a sausage comment. Continue, Katie. I'm not going to stop looking at the moment.
What was I saying? Yeah, I just agree with the fact that you kind of move up the spiral and you are open to one level. And I think once you become disharmonious in your vibrational alignment and say that your growth, I think for the female, the journey is you have the capacity to go on the journey earlier, I think, and deeper. So I think like from a masculine to feminine perspective, I think for my journey, moving on from my first relationship felt really right for me and probably not right for my partner at the time, and then finding the next person up who was a closer alignment to my journey, and I really feel like through all the partners there was a different aspect of the soul's journey that had been covered. I think my last relationship was really karmic and I think quite toxic. So it's like I started with the emotional expansion of pure love and I was like, what is this? And then I think in that it created a space to find deeper aspects of myself. And then the next one was the opposite, and it was a relationship of constriction at times, and I think under that kind of pressure you get cracked open again. So it's that really like element of exposure, expansion, contraction, which is breathing, which is the universe, which is everything. You can see it in a beautiful way when you're on the outside, but when you're on the inside nothing makes any fucking sense at all ever. And then I think like in the relationship that I'm in now, I'm at the point where we both are able to continue on the path, even though we phase in and out of our ability to connect. I think it really is at a level now where I can go up and I can go down. I can expand and I can constrict into the past life memories that we held together. And I think that there's a level of karmic clearing for me. And now I'm really witnessing the karmic imbalance of our soul's progression and how much evil shit I must have done like in a past life in Egypt. I think I was just like a tyrant because like I did a recent ceremony taking back all the shit I'd ever caused as human, and there was a lot, like all the stuff came back into my body, and I really feel that I could have exited this life and dated someone and been like, this is great, it's really easy and comfortable. I'm going to have to go back and clear that. So I think like when you're in the moment of clarity, I always say to you guys, like when I come out of this life, I'm going to do victory laps around the planet because like I cleared so much shit. But when you're in the really pinhole perspective of that, it's really challenging on all fronts to really get to know yourself on that deeper level. And I remember when I started dating Will, I remember exactly what you said, Alisha, saying, I was like, why can't we just skip to the part where we know each other and we love each other and we support each other? I don't want to fucking go through this getting to know you shit. Like, we love each other, like, let's be together. And I think about the human that said that to the human who's sitting here now is such a radically different, transformed being that I could have lived that life, but I'd be like so disconnected. Whereas the breaking apart, like those bowls that when they break they fill them with gold, and every time they break them it's more gold and gold and gold until it's just a gold bowl. I really feel like now that I'm in a bit of space to like have clarity on the situation, last week would have been a different story, that you do get to that level where you've been cracked open and you just get to explore more aspects of yourself, and then being able to see that in another is really beautiful. And I think it's an experience that I've never witnessed in anyone else's relationship around me, not my older generation, not many people that I see. So I think what must be coming when you've done all this work must be good. You know, it's got to be good on the other end of all that work.
Better be.
Yeah. So I had
better be
a similar sort of background. I dated a few different I had a few different partners in my past, and I think each one of them, each relationship I entered taught me a different aspect about myself, and there was that contraction, expansion, and coming back in. And I'm at a place now, my previous partner, that was a very karmic relationship, and then I felt like I had to go through that though, because I just loved so hard. I had to go through that to almost be shredded down to bare minimum to sit with myself. And I spent a year, I didn't really leave my house. And I just really went deep within. I did the bare necessities like my flowers and deliveries and the kids stuff, but I really just sat with what is going on, and I really reflected on every relationship I'd been in and what I embodied and what I tried to project. And I came to the conclusion I had so much of my own healing to do from past lives, past relationships, and I'm at a place now where I literally, like, I feel I have been healing and healing and healing. And I know healing is continual, but I have also so much love in my heart that I'm here to love fully, no matter what I do, whether it be in a relationship or not in a relationship, just to always come from my heart space. So what I've gained out of all my previous relationships is this full, just love for myself, love for life itself. It doesn't have to be about anyone else. I think it's important to come back in and remember that you are equipped with everything that you need, no matter what.
Nat and I always say, we're going to get a tattoo next time she comes to Melbourne.
I love love.
Oh, you guys. Maybe I'll come next to you. I've never had a tattoo in my life.
Oh,
Maybe it's the
oh,
time.
totally join us. Katie Jane, you're
Should we go down that? We're going to Melbourne and getting tatted up.
Yeah, I love love.
Face tat for every bad relationship that we've ever experienced.
I literally,
Spiritual
after every
gangster.
breakup, I actually do get a tattoo, and I can look at my tattoos and go, oh yeah, that was that breakup. Or, it's really bad.
That's that. But I have done many rituals. Like, listening to you guys is so insightful, because it makes you reflect on your own relationship pathway and journey, and you kind of like, oh yeah. And I'm sitting on a whole body of work that I will slowly release throughout the next part of this year. But it's funny, I go into stages of being really inspired and wanting to write a lot, and then stages of just observing, and a lot has been coming through in the last 6 months or so that's wanted to be expressed through me. And as you're talking about it, because all these concepts, I love concepts and theories. I love them. Yeah, I don't know, just do.
We just love a good concept. I love a good theory.
And I was thinking about exactly what you're talking about, the expanding, retracting, expanding. And it was about the relationship, and it was adding more to my theory around the spiral relationships. And I was like, the spiral to me looked like it had two tiers to it, two like colors to it, and it was like black and white. And it was like you go through a breakdown relationship, like a dark kind of polarized relationship, and you're broken, but that's purposeful to, you know, break down some of the humanness that doesn't serve us, even though we hold on to it because for dear life, because that's our identity. And then we come out of that and we heal, and then we go into the next connection is more of a nurturing relationship, right, and soothing, and we sort of rebuild our strength and grow from that. And then that one will naturally, you know, die natural death. And they're the ones you
die in a burning fire.
They're generally the ones that you stay in contact with, you stay friends with, and they're the ones that you I don't know, I can say this from my own experience, looking back and going, you know, I think we were always meant to be friends, or we were just better off as friends, because it kind of becomes more of a platonic love. It's because you've worked through what you need to work through, and then the dynamic or the energy changes. And then that sets you up all good, and you're all ready, and you're like going to hit the town with the girls, and you're ready to rock and roll, and then boom, you get another hard one. And so there's this like fusion of dark and light up the spiral to help counterbalance your own growth, and ultimately it comes back to your own growth. But you know, the ascension path is unique for everyone, and sacred partnership is just one way of going through the ascension path. You know, there's many ways, I do truly believe that it is an accelerated version. I've always said this, I've always understood it as, and this is where this concept has come from for me, is that when you talk about ascension or attaining enlightenment or light body or rainbow body in Eastern philosophy, they talk about the gurus, you know, and the yogis sitting in caves and meditating and how they achieved rainbow and light body. And I've heard this is, you know, pure, you know, accreditation to David Wilcox, but he talks a lot about this in his ancient mystery school teachings, sacred wisdom. I can't remember. It used to be on Gaia, it's no longer. But anyway, I'll get to my point. My point is, I'll never forget this. He said in his research of what he found, there was like on the planet, there's recorded about 60,000 people who have achieved rainbow body, which is ascension. It's turning your body into crystalline, you know, and light. And that's what the planet is doing. That's what we're all here for, you know, to go through this transition slow bit. But in the past, when these monks have, or yogis or masters in the East have gone through achieving what they call rainbow body, it's 13 years of only pure thought. So
Wow.
right, so
how boring.
so
Katie's like, burn.
so
Burn in a fire.
13 years of pure thought. This is as soon as you have a negative thought,
Yeah, start again.
you got to start again. Yeah. So that's how they achieve that state of refinement. But we're here all going through this process where I don't think I know anyone on this planet that could go through a day without having a negative thought, no matter how enlightened we believe we are, you know, because we have all these external factors, and I won't even go into it, but you know, we've got let's just say a lot of external factors as well as internal factors as we move through these times. But then you throw in the concept of doing this in a team dynamic, in a team effort. And so what happens when you work with a partnership? It makes things go faster, doesn't it? Makes things
more intense and faster.
Yeah. So you throw in a catalyst or multiple catalysts that are going to highlight and reflect back to you the things that are going to help push you into dropping what doesn't serve you, so that you can continue to step into higher and higher embodiments of light and frequency, remembering who you are. It's not a pretty process. Anyone who says it is, I would be very discerning and run the other way very quickly. But it does get us to the state and the point where we need to be to work in our passion, work in our soul mission, and to be a service to others and humanity going through this. But ultimately as well, it's not just about us, it's about the collective. And it's about this group of individuals who've chosen this path to come. And what are we doing? We're trying to anchor, we're in the process of anchoring the most pure
field
love back on this planet, coming back to unconditional love of, I love you as a soul, and no matter what has happened, you know, we can get through, you know, what we need to, because of that bond that we have and the higher understanding.
Like, in terms of like loving unconditionally, I know you know, we have the sacred partnerships, and that's the most intense, beautiful. I mean, I didn't know I had that kind of patience
Right.
or anyone. I had 2 children, but that was next level. I was really patient. You know this. So I look back at that and I'm like, wow, I did that. But apart from sacred partnerships, you know, there's also the friendships and in your families that's like at the moment, I don't know about you guys, but I've certainly experienced being challenged at the moment, where I was crying on the phone to Alisha. It's like, why do I feel unconditional love for this person and they've hurt me? And this was a friend. So, you know, I guess New Earth, you know, yes, it's sacred partnerships, but there's also other types of partnerships and relationships that will trigger that unconditional love. And that was actually beautiful in a horrible way. The love was so real and beautiful. And, you know, thank God Alisha was there to help me through that. But I don't know where I was going with that now.
I think you sparked something really important. And I think that is that there's so many ripple effect benefits of going through this process. Yes, it is about the partnership, but it ripples into so much more than just a partnership with one other person. It filters in and through to every aspect of our life to teach us, you know, forgiveness, love, compassion, understanding, you know, like unbelievable amounts of patience, and to be ultimately better people in every facet of our life. So, you know, the gifts are there if we choose to see it in that vantage point and in that light, to enhance us. Yeah, I just see that as like a diamond, you know, fractal that shines really brightly in all angles, but we're polishing each facet, each trigger, each relationship, each horrendous, you know, episode, crying on the floor, putting yourself back together, you know, that is shining each facet of that diamond.
I love that. And I feel like what you said, Anna and Alisha, I feel like coming into the new earth vibration or that space, what comes to mind is like when people do the work and when you're in the energy field of someone who has hurt you, but you're holding that unconditional love. And when you're on like a path of like owning your shit instead of rejecting your shit, being authentic and vulnerable as opposed to being masked and defensive, there's a level of safety that creates for other people, which then creates the ripple effect. Like I have, like when we were at the retreat and it was a room full of strangers, and I think Nat said it, or maybe Pauline said it, someone said it, and they were like, whoa, even though I don't know everyone here, I feel really safe to be myself. And I feel like when you, even though you haven't done all the work and you've still got shit to clear, I think the vibration of the willingness to do the work and the acknowledging of your own crap makes it a really safe place to be in the energy field of other people also doing that work.
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just a safety and ease to be able to connect with someone because you're not mirroring their resistance to them seeing themselves or triggering something, because they're just able to see it for what it is. I don't know where I'm going with this, but basically like it feels safe in the space to be around people like that.
And I think a lot of us also have been in relationships where, you know, you haven't received that, you haven't been accepted, or I wouldn't even say forgiveness, but you know, I don't know if you've had conflict with someone and they've just been able to sit there and say, okay, you're upset or whatever, I love you anyway. And I think we need to start doing that more and more with everyone. And I'm lost for words again. I just,
That's really rare.
I'm also conscious that we have some 4 minutes left. I want to acknowledge Nola on the line and welcome you in. And I don't know if you have any questions or if you have anything you want to share. So, okay, if you don't, but I just want to give you that opportunity. If you wanted to unmute yourself and join in the conversation or have any questions, or if you're just purely here to listen, that's okay too. And open it up to people who are on the live if there is any specific questions that you might have as we continue on this conversation for a little while longer.
I'm just going to chime in and go off, Katie, what you said about at the retreat, just being open, like being in a safe space, how powerful that is. For me, you guys being firsthand at the retreat, I don't know, I didn't have any intentions going there of what would happen or how it would all unravel. And I pretty much I did so much releasing that weekend, and I think it was Will after the sound lounge, and I sat up and I was like, poor Will came over and I was like, I just bawled because I had released an aspect of my past that I didn't realize I was holding on to so tight. And it gave that whole weekend being in such a safe environment to release and not worry, not be judged, was so powerful for my ascension process. Like it truly does. It makes the world of a difference to be able to be held and to be safe and to release and not be judged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I just wanted to say Pauline is in the house, so if you want to say hi to Pauline.
Oh, what up, Pauline?
Hi, Pauline.
Come online. Are there any questions?
All right, yeah, just if one of you can read that question that's just come in, and then on the chat, and then what I do want to say is that
I can't even see questions.
what one thing that is like triggers are a massive part and a very uncomfortable part, but they do make us grow and they push us into those uncomfortable places. But you know, we've got to be grateful for, and one thing that I sort of came into about 12 months ago is that triggers can be positive things too. You know, triggers can be a spark of inspiration that wants you to better yourself. And then there's the intense triggers that bring out the ancient rage where you want to annihilate everyone with you, as Katie would say, with your laser beam eyes, you know. and it is. And like I've been in dynamics where I've had incomprehensible rage that has come up, and it's only that person who does that. And Kate you and I were having this conversation the other day of like, why is that? And then tracing it back to the origins and saying that person can only get such an insane rise out of me because there is all this trauma and war trauma that we carry on a cellular DNA level that goes back to galactic wars. And we're right now in this compression. If you have a look at the live that I did with Dale last night, and he gave that perfect example talking about the compression of the universe into the human body. But if you think about it on that scale, we're in this point right now where we're like healing and compressing all aspects and all timelines from past. When I say past, you know, we're talking past lives on Earth, which is, you know, still happening simultaneously because that timeline is active, that energy is active and running through us. We're talking about soul journeys of ancient past on other planets, planetary bodies, interstellar wars. You know, we've got all that we're trying to clear through our DNA, through and so of course you're going to have, and this goes into all relationships, this goes beyond sacred partnership. You know, you meet someone, you have an intense love for them. You meet someone, you have an intense hate for them. You can't understand why. It's instantly your energy fields are exchanging, and that information is bouncing around, and you're feeling all of that coming up. But the conscious mind can't comprehend. Oh yeah, we were battle buddies on the fields and wherever, or oh my god, we were the most epic lovers and we've had 10 lifetimes where we've just had this insatiable love and raised a family together. You know, the mind can't comprehend that. And what we're trying to do through the from my perspective through the ascension process is we're incorporating as much light and memory into our cells, into our DNA through the body. When, you know, we're not going anywhere in sense of like we're not floating off and going into a heavenly realm.
What?
What the fuck? I'm out.
We're actually building new earth here. Yes, it is in a different frequency, it is a different vibration, and I believe a totally different reality. But in order to do that, we're doing all this clearing to be able to hold more light within ourselves and on the planet simultaneously. So
do you believe also, can I ask a question? Do you believe also, like on the personal level, like once you're clearing your stuff, the past life, the entanglement of your cells interacting with the experience you're having now, once you've done a level of that, do you think we also begin to start clearing like archetypal energies that have existed through the universe? Like I think about that Medusa track, and it's like, well, yeah, it's your genetics and your lineage, but also like, what about the like literal narrative of humanity, the like the bigger archetypal energies that need to be resolved on the just like playing field.
How I
Go
see it.
in
Can I give
6
you
minutes.
how I see it?
Yeah.
That's a great visual, mind.
Download it to me.
All right. I can see us all hovering around Earth. We've heard the call. We're hovering around Earth. We're like planning our incarnations, some multiple, some star seeds have just come here for the first time, back to the individual soul's journey. But as we're coming down, we're like, oh, okay. So there's 10 templates of relationships that we have to bust and break through to be able to renew them and make them and bring them back online to what our soul knows. So for example, on the Pleiades, they have a certain template of relationships of how their social norms is, and that is probably a little bit higher in alignment or frequent. I don't know what the terminology, but it's maybe a bit higher in the evolutionary scale than what we've had on Earth, right? But then when we go back to Earth's history, we've got Lemuria, we've got different civilizations that were in harmony, that did put a lot of value and emphasis on sacred relationships. So we had that in our soul memory too. So we know and have the archetype and the templates for the higher, right? And also we've had the experiences, whether it's individually or in the template, of the shittier ones that we're busting through. So I see them all gathering around Earth, right? And we're like, okay, these are the 10 templates of shitty 3D relationships that we have to bust through to transform. And so we look at them like, oh, that one, toxicity and like codependency. Oh, fuck, I had 10 lifetimes where I've learned those lessons. I'll come in, I'll go through that one. But, to be able to do that, I'm going to have to forget, once again, I'm going to have to forget a lot of the stuff. And I'm going to kind of pick that family, and even though they're beautiful souls, they're going to give me some really hard lessons. And then
I've just had a thought. I'm staring at the beautiful mountains outside and
it's stunning.
Australia. But so everyone talks about the painful relationships that we've all had, and hands up if you've been there. But I've just realized as you're talking that there's also possibly a patch for people to go through amazing sacred loves that are really expansive.
Sure.
We never talk about that.
No, we don't.
We talk about all the toxic, narcissistic relationships.
Isn't that funny? We're wired to have a conversation about the hardships of it, but when everything's great, I don't call you guys and be like, we did blah blah blah, I'm amazing. It's always like we're conditioned to always talk about the shit.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
thank you for bringing that up. Let's spend the last 5 minutes giving an example of a beautiful experience that we've had through sacred partnership, or just a beautiful soul connection that has brought us into more love.
I've got too many. I'll skip this.
You brought it up.
Well, I've actually been
Give
really
it to us.
I've actually been really grateful, because even though my sacred partnership journey was intense and beautiful, but I didn't expect that I would actually go through a process in the last 6-9 months, meeting and experiencing really beautiful, expansive love with other partnerships. And they've been incredible. I'm like, wow, this kind of love exists. And, it's not the kind of love like we have to get married, we have to be together, we have to wife. It's been nothing like that at all. It's been incredible. There was no attachment. There was no possessiveness. It was just incredible exchange of energy, and that's out there. And I think the masculines are really, well, for me anyway, maybe because I've had such a tough experience with relationships, now they're like saying, hey, experience this beautiful love.
You're on the white
the upswing.
As I said, the white feather of the spiral right now.
Yes. All right. But anyway, that's like I said, it was unexpected, but obviously I really needed to experience that. Need to.
Mom!
Donovan is on a 6-minute bus break, just checking in.
Hey, Donovan.
Hey, Donovan.
Christine here.
Hi, Christine.
Ladies, your beautiful moment, experience, whatever you want to share that has been connected to sacred relationship.
I think for me, I always talk about how much love I have and how much love I have to give, and I didn't realize I sucked at receiving. I put my walls up so far up. The most beautiful thing that I have learned about myself is being open to receive and trying to embody that. And if somebody, it doesn't matter if it's in a relationship, it could be down at a bar. If a man wanted to buy me a drink, I was like, no, it's okay, I've got this. I'm so independent. And just right down to like the tiniest little thing. But yeah, I was so closed. I'm so good at giving love, but I'm not good at receiving. I wasn't, but I'm embodying that now, and I wasn't conscious of that until I had met my divine counterpart, and it wasn't until we separated that I realized, and I had this light bulb moment. I was like, wow, I really propelled receiving so hardcore. So that's been a beautiful gift for me.
Oh, thank you, Nat.
And the more that you're in that space, I feel like, Nat, like you're such a loving being. The more that you allow that, like that in my energy, the more it makes me want to just like give stuff to you. Like, you know, when someone has the open door and it's like, oh, like how else can I like propel this? It's that feeling, that magnetism to your spark.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's such a beautiful thing, is to give, but not only to receive. And it's such a beautiful like flow when you get in that flow of giving and receiving, how beautiful that space can be for humanity as a whole.
We did that last year during lockdown, me, Jen and Alisha, gifting each other because we realized we were receiving. So we just had to learn to say thank you, and we gifted each other. It was beautiful, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Do you want me to give you my address, Anna, and you can start gifting to me?
What's your address, Katie Jane? I got it off Nat.
$1 billion.
$1 million.
Well, guys, I just want to thank you all for being here and participating and so openly sharing. And this is such an important topic. And you know what, I've been thinking, because like once again, this is just an overview, you know, of things that we could go into very specifics. And I know it really helps people. So maybe this is a dialogue or a segment that we'll continue over on New Earth Children, which is dedicated to you know, sacred partnership and New Earth Children all in one. And maybe this is something that we'll continue to do on a regular basis, for people to send in, you know, questions in advance. We could just go on tangents, because I think we could do that for a very, very long time, and not feel the limitations of World Unity Week and the fact that I have to prepare for another live shortly. So thank you everyone so much for being a part and being on live, and your comments and your sharing. So much love and gratitude to you beautiful ladies on this screen. You are just a shining beacon of inspiration and beauty.
Aren't they amazing?
You too. I'm looking at you too.
Oh, sorry, me too. I will receive that. Thank you.
So
yeah.
Please come on the Zoom call if you want to. You're very welcome to. I keep forgetting to put the Zoom link, but I did put it up there somewhere, and it's the same one. But tomorrow we're going to be talking about the solar flash and how to prepare yourself. So, woo, 101. All right, wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Signing off and just sending much love to you all.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Bye.